Good evening. I'm Alex with America Headlines. Tonight, we bring you a developing political story that is shaking up Washington, reverberating across the Democratic Party, and raising fresh questions about loyalty, leadership, and the future of American politics. Coming up, former Vice President Kamala Harris makes a revealing phone call to former President Joe Biden. At the center of that call, her upcoming memoir, a book that, according to early excerpts, could forever change how history views their political partnership. Our top story tonight begins with a quiet but consequential moment. Just days ago, Kamala Harris reached out directly to Joe Biden. The message was simple but heavy. "I want you to hear this from me first." She wanted Biden to know that her memoir, 107 Days, would include candid reflections on his final years in office. These weren't ordinary recollections. They were deeply personal observations that, once public, could spark debate, criticism, and even division within their party. Sources familiar with the call say Harris's tone was respectful but firm. She was not attacking Biden, nor was she attempting to embarrass him. Instead, she was delivering honesty, the kind of honesty she felt Americans deserved, but also the kind of honesty that could test the boundaries of their relationship. Let's turn to the contents of the book itself. Harris writes openly about watching President Biden during his later years in office. She describes moments of visible exhaustion, moments when his age and frailty were difficult to ignore. She calls it reckless, that no one inside the administration stepped in earlier to reconsider his bid for re-election. For Harris, the stakes were far too high to leave such a critical decision to what she described as personal ego or ambition. In other words, she felt this was bigger than one man's legacy. It was about the direction of the country. These are not casual reflections. They strike at the heart of a presidency. And they raise uncomfortable questions. Should Joe Biden have run again? Should someone close to him have spoken up sooner? And what responsibility does a vice president carry in moments like these? Critics immediately pounced on the timing. Former Biden aides, many of whom spent years protecting his image, have expressed frustration. One told reporters, if she had concerns, she should have voiced them during the campaign. Voters deserve to know then, not now. Another added, this feels like too little, too late. But Harris's defenders push back. They argue that her memoir is not an attack, but a reckoning, a candid attempt to balance loyalty with truth. According to one person close to her, Harris wanted to share not just Biden's challenges, but also her own struggles with loyalty, struggles with political reality, and struggles with her role at the very center of American power. This framing matters, because in politics, timing is everything. By choosing to release these reflections now, nearly a year after Biden left office, Harris is signaling that her priority is history, not headlines. Critics immediately pounced on the timing. Former Biden aides, many of whom spent years protecting his image, have expressed frustration. One told reporters, if she had concerns, she should have voiced them during the campaign. Voters deserve to know then, not now. Another added, this feels like too little, too late. But Harris's defenders push back. They argue that her memoir is not an attack but a reckoning, a candid attempt to balance loyalty with truth. According to one person close to her, Harris wanted to share not just Biden's challenges, but also her own struggles with loyalty, struggles with political reality, and struggles with her role at the very center of American power. This framing matters, because in politics, timing is everything. By choosing to release these reflections now, nearly a year after Biden left office, Harris is signaling that her priority is history, not headlines. And this brings us to the larger story. The Democratic Party is not just reacting to Harris's words, it is grappling with its identity. For years, Democrats avoided a direct conversation about Biden's age and fitness for office. Party leaders rallied behind him in 2024, largely without a competitive primary. Now, those unspoken concerns are resurfacing. Some strategists warn that Democrats cannot move confidently toward 2028 until they answer the question plainly. Was Joe Biden the right candidate to run again? That question may haunt them for years to come. This isn't the first time Democrats have found themselves divided after a major loss. In 2016, debates raged over Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders. Many asked whether party unity could have been stronger, and whether those divisions cost them the White House. Decades earlier, in 1980, Democrats were split between President Jimmy Carter and Senator Ted Kennedy, a battle that weakened the party heading into the general election. Today, history feels like it's repeating itself. Instead of closing ranks, Democrats are reopening old battles. And this time, the split is not just ideological, it's personal. The reactions to Harris's memoir have been swift and varied. Pete Buttigieg, former transportation secretary, cautiously noted it may have been a mistake for Biden to seek re-election. Senator Chris Murphy said there was no doubt Biden struggled with cognitive decline in office. Representative Ro Khanna was more direct, saying Democrats made a mistake in backing Biden for another run. Meanwhile, Biden loyalists emphasize his accomplishments: a strong recovery from the pandemic, legislative victories on infrastructure, and steady leadership during global crises. They argue that history will remember those achievements more than whispers about age. But the debate is now public, and it will shape the Democratic primary of 2028. While Harris's memoir may dominate the news cycle, it also raises broader questions for American voters. How do we evaluate leaders as they age? At what point does loyalty to a leader become a liability for a party? And how should politicians balance personal respect with public accountability? These are not easy questions, but they are the kind of questions that define democracy. Tonight's story is more than just a political spat. It is a reminder of how fragile partnerships can be. It is about the tension between loyalty and truth. It is about a party struggling with the past while trying to chart its future. As Harris embarks on her book tour, and as Biden prepares his own memoir, the Democratic Party finds itself in a moment of reflection. And as America heads toward 2028, the voices of yesterday's leaders continue to echo, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in discord. This is only the beginning of a much larger conversation. I'm Alex with America Headlines. Thank you for joining us tonight. Stay tuned for continuing coverage as this story unfolds and as we track the voices shaping the future of American politics.